It's a News Buzz edition of River to River from Iowa Public Radio News. I'm Ben Kieffer. Well, earlier this month, Iowa, our country, as a matter of fact, lost a tremendous advocate for people with disabilities. Mia Peterson of Des Moines died on June 8th of Alzheimer's disease. She was 47. Joining us to remember and to celebrate Mia and her achievements, her older sister, Missy Keenan of Des Moines. Missy, welcome to the program. Our condolences for the loss of your younger sister.
Hi, thank you so much.
As pointed out in such a wonderful article about Mia in the Des Moines Register written by Tony Lays, she had she been born more than a decade earlier, things would have been much different for her before laws and attitudes shifted in the 60s and 70s. Many children with Down syndrome were sent to live in institutions. Even those who stayed with their families were routinely denied meaningful educations, and many were also denied medical care for life-threatening physical problems associated with this genetic condition, Down syndrome. So it's in that context that this change happening, that Mia was born. What can you tell us about the time when she was born and determined to have Down syndrome and the outlook given by doctors for her?
Right. So Mia was born in 1973. And at that time, when the doctors first told my parents that Mia had Down syndrome, one of the comments that I really remember was they've shared that doctors told them, well, Mia's never going to be sort of a meaningful part of your family. She might not have a sense of humor. And that particularly, I think that for some reason that really stunned them to think about Mia as being someone that wouldn't be sort of enjoying life and laughing and having fun. And of course, that was the exact opposite of Mia. Mia had this great sense of comedic timing, and she was just a delightful person. And, nobody was as funny or enjoyed having fun or laughing as much as Mia. So she definitely proved the doctors wrong in that respect.
Talk a little bit about the challenges she faced in the early 70s, especially related to her Down syndrome. Did she attend school with other children? Were there? What do you remember about the challenges in her early childhood growing up?
Right. Well, as far as what I remember, so I have to say I'm only 3 years older than Mia, and I'm not sure at what point I realized that she had a disability. She was definitely, as far as our family went, she was integrated into our family. And when you think about all the things that I might have done as far as playing softball, being in 4-H, going to camps and participating in activities, Mia did all of those things as well. But when it came to her education, so Mia being born in 1973, that was 2 years before Congress passed. I had to write it down here. It's Public Law 94142, and that was the law that ensured equal rights for education for people with disabilities in 1975. So Mia and my parents were always sort of blazing new trails when it came to her education. And I have kind of a really sweet story about that. When she was in high school, she was taking a writing and reading class. And in this class, she had a lot of boys who were being disruptive, and she was frustrated. She had always been interested in being a writer. She really wanted to improve her reading and writing skills, and she was frustrated that she wasn't able to learn in this class. So she talked to her teacher, and she asked the teacher to be moved out of this class. And the teacher said, well, Mia, I'm sorry, this class is already in my computer, so I'm not going to be able to switch you out of it. And so Mia was just really upset by this. And she went back to her desk and she wrote this impassioned letter to her teacher explaining why she thought she should be able to move into a different section of the class. And she ended the letter by saying, and stick that into your computer. And yeah. And the teacher didn't think that was an appropriate thing for Mia to say. And she called my parents in. And my parents, of course, really supported Mia. They agreed that she wasn't getting the kind of experience she needed in that class. And she was able to move into a different section. So that really tells you, I think that's both an example of Mia's personal tenacity. She really used her voice and advocated for herself. She was real strong self-advocate all of her life. And then also, of course, how my parents really, all the three of them together were kind of always blazing new trails.
Right, and I understand some of her most influential work came in one-on-one interactions with peers, with others who have disabilities, living with even more severe disabilities. What an inspiration! At the age of 24, Missy, I understand she decided to move away from her Iowa family, your family in Des Moines, start a new life in Cincinnati, Ohio. I want you to tell us about that move and the chapter in life that it opened, but let's listen to a little bit of Mia in a recording because she talks about the move. I think this must have been, she talks a little bit here about self-determination, becoming independent. Let's listen and have you comment. And boy, Mia's charm really comes through. Her humor comes through. Just have a listen.
My name is Mia Peterson, and I am excited to tell you my story on self-determination and the supports that got me there. And one of those lessons is my parents do have some good ideas sometimes, but it's really good to hear other people's ideas. And if it weren't for the supports, I probably wouldn't have gotten where I am today and what I have learned. And I learned many different steps. One was on my independent living, self-determination, being determined to doing those things independently, such as knowing how to get around to the airport because I do travel, such as being independent, getting to other places around your community, especially for living out of state from your family and your friends, was difficult at first. And the more I gotten used to it, it was much easier.
Missy, so we get a chance to hear just a snippet of her, and it comes through the determination, the charm, the humor right there with your sister, and how she could, with her personality and perseverance, inspire others.
Yes, absolutely. So Mia was talking there about when she moved to Cincinnati when she was 24, the sort of events that led up to that. So I'm 3 years older. I left when I was done with high school. I left to go to college. And then 7 years later, when our younger sister graduated from high school, Jana, she left to go to college as well. But there was no real clear path forward for Mia. So here was Mia at home with our parents in Webster City, watching her sisters go off to college, not sure what was next for her. She was working at the local grocery store. During that time, she was doing quite a bit of writing. And my parents used to take her to conferences all over the country for people with Down syndrome. And one year during this time, they went to a conference in Anaheim, California. And my parents and Mia knew about an editor of a publication for people with disabilities who was going to be there. So Mia had printed out some of her stories and brought them to this conference. She got a chance to meet Essie, who was the editor of this publication, and shared her writing with her. They really became fast friends. And then soon Mia started writing for this publication. And then that kind of evolved so that Essie invited Mia to come to Cincinnati for an internship.
Right, and I understand from Tony Lay's writing in the Register, during her time in Cincinnati, she helped write a national newsletter for people with developmental disabilities, was in great demand as a public speaker. She even addressed more than 1,000 people at the National Down Syndrome Congress. co-authored research papers, carried the torch before the 2002 Olympic Games, served on Ohio and Iowa State commissions, and became the first person with Down syndrome to sit on the board of directors for the National Down Syndrome Society. What an impact she had. I have to have you comment on this quote from your mother. Carol, in Tony's article, said of Mia's accomplishments that stemmed from a simple, profound goal. Quote, the one thing she would say over and over and over was, I just want to be a friend. That was at the center of it.
Yep, that's absolutely true. And Mia was, she was someone, she could make friends with anyone. So she, through her work, had the opportunity to meet a lot of celebrities. She met Liam Neeson. She was on a first name basis with 3 Iowa governors. She knew Senator Harkin. She knew Senator Grassley. She met Brooke Shields. She met Gloria Steinem. She met a lot of famous people and was at different fundraisers and events with them. And she loved getting to meet those people. But she also loved, she worked at Price Chopper and at the YMCA in Des Moines for years. And she was on a first name basis. We couldn't go anywhere. We would go out to coffee and everyone was coming over to our table and saying hi to Mia. And people tell us that when they were at Price Chopper and they saw Mia in line bagging groceries, that they would go out of their way to get in her line, even if it was the longest line, just because they put a smile on her face. So it's from these celebrities to a person with maybe a more severe disability who she was helping and guiding or giving guidance to a barista at a coffee shop, to a customer, to, just anyone. She really loved meeting people and had a great personality. And I'm really proud to be able to share her story because she was such a great person and was a great friend to a lot of people.
She will be missed, but she's made such a tremendous impact, and the world is a better place because of Mia Peterson. Thank you for telling us about your younger sister. I should mention a private family memorial service will be held at 11 a.m. on July 2nd. The service will be live streamed at www.ilescares.com. That's ILES cares.com. Before we go, Missy, I understand Mia loved to go to concerts, loved a lot of bands, but above all, she loved the Iowa band, the Nadas. And I have to believe we're going to play a little bit of the Nadas, one of their original songs from a few years ago. It's called Beautiful Girl. I thought this was so fitting. And I have to believe, Missy, it's a tune that Mia would have danced to more than once.
Absolutely.
Beautiful girl, beautiful girl, beautiful girl. Won't you come and dance with me?
Missy Keenan, thank you for this conversation. Our condolences, and thank you for helping us celebrate your sister's life.
Thanks so much, Ben.